bloody but unbowed. WBA lightweight champion Ray Boom Boom Mancini has experienced the battle scars of boxing. But since taking the title from Arturo Frias in May of 1982, he has remained an unconquered champion. Boom Boom fights with a vengeance and inner drive reminiscent of this sport's most revered gladiators. And he can deliver the knockout punch with the last reserve of his unbounded strength. But the challenger, Bobby Chacon, is also no stranger to giving a few pints to gain honor in the world of boxing. It was back in December of 1982 that Chacon dug deep into his heart to beat Bazooka Limon and capture his second title. Tonight, two proud champions take us back to man's basic instincts in what promises to be a war. WBA lightweight champion Ray Boom Boom Mancini defends his title for the fourth time against Bobby Chacon. Nestled high in the Sierra Mountains in the silver state of Nevada sits the city of Reno, a city that has outgrown its moniker, the biggest little city in the world. Now this popular town is trying to establish itself as the newest entry in the scramble for boxing's big event. And tonight, live from the Lawler Event Center on the campus of the University of Nevada in Reno, Nevada, HBO Sports presents World Championship Boxing. The main event, WBA lightweight champion Ray Boom Boom Mancini defends his title against former featherweight and junior lightweight champion Bobby Chacon. Everywhere you go, there's talk of the impending Battle of Reno between Mancini and Chacon. It's a matchmaker's dream, and the biggest little city in the world has come alive. You know, there's an old saying in sports that the best offense is a good defense. Well, on this night, in this place, in Reno, Nevada, in this sport, you can throw that right out the window. There won't be any defense. There'll be a whole lot of offense. Hello, everybody. I'm Barry Tompkins. Welcome to the lightweight championship fight. This one between Ray Mancini and, of course, Bobby Chacon. Joining us, Sugar Ray Leonard, and with us, of course, is Larry Merchant as well. Ray, old saying, styles make fights. In this fight, I think there's no question as to the two styles. Bobby Chacon might have put it better than anybody else. He said we're two guys who both love to be hit and love to hit back.
All right, this is going to be a great fight. First of all, you got two little warriors, and neither one will give grounds to the other. I think what leads me to believe that these two guys will emulate two cars on a head-on collision, because it's going to be a rough fight, whereas that guy with the toughest bumper will win.
Larry Merchant, let's talk about the bumper. If you ask anybody around here, take a straw poll to the press here, even the people up here in the stands, they will all say this fight is going to be decided by cuts. Who does, who doesn't, and who survives.
Well, I guess a lot of people are ghoulishly expecting them to paint the town blood red, but I should remind you that Mancini has never lost a fight on cuts, and Chacon has only lost one fight on cuts. Cuts are sort of the turnovers of boxing. They can suddenly and unexpectedly turn the tide of a fight. Chacon does bleed, and he bleeds dramatically. In fact, he's the only fighter I ever heard of who travels with his own plastic surgeon, but his blood seems to inspire him. But what intrigues us about these two warriors who exemplify the bad and the beautiful in boxing is that they bleed inside as well as outside. Their human stories are what makes them so interesting as athletes and opponents.
Well, the road to the title for Ray Boom Boom Mancini has been wrought with rough spots. He had to lose a fight to get into the limelight. He lost a lot of blood to keep his title, and he overcame a tragedy to keep it once more. A boxer is trained to attack and defend. But what happens when death is the result? On November 13th, 1982, Duk-Koo Kim suffered a massive blood clot on the right side of his brain. Duk-Koo Kim died 5 days later. Ray Mancini's nightmare will live forever.
In effect, yes, the man died at my hands, but I didn't have the intention to kill him. I didn't kill him, in effect. I was like a zombie that week. I was out of it. I couldn't sleep at nights. I was walking around in a state of depression. My mother tried to say things. My father tried to give me encouragement. The town tried to encourage me. There was nothing nobody can say. I had to go through it. It was me.
Actually, we just reinforced the feelings after the Kim fight, that it was not something done intentionally. It was just one of those things that happen. There are fatalities in sports all the time.
Finally, I did a lot of talk with Father O'Neill, who guided me through this time. You know, without him, I don't know what I would have done.
But he was very confused. I said, Ray, I think I am a gifted person. God wants me to be a priest, to deal with people. I think I'm gifted to be a priest. If for one particular reason I left the priesthood, I would be denying people of my gift. And I said, I think you are gifted in this particular area. Sure, you take the knocks and the bruises, but somehow people identify with you, and you're a gift to millions and millions of people.
And I just realized I had to go on, and this was something that was a gift to me. The Lord blessed me with having good talents, and I had the title. My family was very happy with the crown. We were enjoying the crown. I just couldn't give it up and throw it away. This was something for my future, and I decided to go on.
Ray Mancini lives on with the memories of Dooku Kim, and his boxing style remains a throwback to yesteryear. In the 50s, we idolized our athletic heroes. We experimented. Times were frivolous, and the Cold War was melting. We were beginning to set new standards, some high, some not so high. Our champions were revered. Youngstown, Ohio was typical. The streets bustled, the steel mills glowed, and ex-boxer Lenny Boom Boom Mancini was their hero. In 30 years, many things have changed. Others have not. As the mills symbolize what used to be, the same is true for Ray Boom Boom Mancini, a boxer of the 80s who's been reincarnated from the 50s.
A lot of people say I'm unorthodox. I'm a throwback to the old-time fighters because I'm always coming in, I'm throwing punches from all angles, and I love that because the old-time fighters to me were the true champions, were the true warriors, true gladiators. That's the word I'm thinking of. My father told me a long time ago, there's two things of fighting that you must have. That's heart and a good chin. One don't go without the other. I've been blessed with both. I come from a fighting family. My father had tremendous heart, tremendous courage and stamina. The heart is the key to being a champion.
I see the same thing in him as I see myself when I was fighting, because I had a lot of determination. He's got the same thing. He's got a lot of heart. That's what you need in a fight game, a lot of heart. He gets me and asks me all kinds of questions about the old-time fighters, and I keep telling him how they fought, and he's a throwback. He's in there throwing punches all the time. He'll take one to give two.
You know, the book about Rocky Marciano called The First Son, I've read it, and there's certain things in there that articles that they quote certain articles that were written by him, by certain writers, and I'm reading this, I'm saying, this is me. This is me they're talking about. They were talking about how he was too slow, he got hit too much, cut up easy, he plundered around the ring, all these type of things. I said, wow, this is me they're talking about, because I read the same thing, but I get Rocky Marciano went through the same thing. But you know what? Undefeated world champion, one of the greatest of all time. I may be limited in what I can do, but I have that heart. You know, whatever it is I have, I bring it out to its fullest potential, and I'm a champion. And, hey, I'm gonna get whacked on the chin a few times, but I'm not worried about it, because I'm not gonna take a good shot, and I don't try to take a good shot, and I'm not gonna be there to take 3 or 4 to land my one, but I'm gonna take a few. But the bottom line is, they're gonna take more than I take. Well, I love the old-time fighters and the old fight games because it's a big part of my father's life. You know, I love anything that he's been a part of, and it was such a major part of his life. I grew up with it. I know my father's career better than he knows it. These guys were something, you know, they were a special breed. That's the best word I can describe it. They were a special breed, and maybe sometimes I wish I had the certain qualities they had, you know. They were such great fighters. They fought everybody and anybody. Being a true gladiator is what it's all about. That's, you know, you have to have a special heart, and it takes special people to do it. And they were it. They were the true gladiators.
Ray Mancini is one of those gladiators. From style to training techniques to the black shoes he fights in, it's all there. The year is 1984, but Ray Mancini's heart, soul, and spirit are deep in the 1950s. Clan Mancini has made the trip west from Youngstown, Ohio. Lenny and Ellen Mancini on hand to root on their son. Lenny having just come from son Ray Boom Boom Mancini's locker room, having given him encouragement, along with Father O'Neill, who you saw a little bit earlier. They await, and we await, the start of the fourth title defense of Ray Boom Boom Mancini. This for the lightweight championship of the WBA against a very tough hombre, to be sure, Bobby Chacon. That's all coming up. Mancini and Chacon, the fourth defense from here in Reno. Well, we talked about the fact that everyone here in Reno is talking these days about the fact, or seeming fact, that this fight will be decided on cuts. There is another question that's being asked at all times, too, here in Reno, and that is, what chance does Bobby Chacon have? So let me pose the question to our resident sage, Larry Merchant. Larry, what chance does Bobby Chacon have?
Well, when Bobby Chacon started out in boxing, he was so twinkly, so full of life, a sort of miniature Muhammad Ali, that he was known as Schoolboy. Schoolboy Bobby Chacon. In the decade or so since then, he's earned a PhD in the College of Hard Knocks. He's packed lifetimes of living into that decade. He won a couple of championships sensationally and then lost them self-destructively. And outside the ring, he suffered a terrible, terrible personal tragedy. Despite all that, he endures, and he even still twinkles, although it seems that his smile is sometimes forced through dry tears. What chance does he have here tonight? It seems that the champion is too strong and too young for him. His victory is in being here, Bobby Chacon, and here he is.
The story begins in a town called Pacoima in the San Fernando Valley near Los Angeles. It is in this modest home that Bobby Chacon grew up with his 6 younger brothers and sisters. The children were raised by his mother, Gloria, and stepfather, John Venegas. When you grow up in a depressed area like this one, your most important possession can be the blackjack in your back pocket. The young grow to accept a set of values developed on street corners. Some children avoid the pitfalls of the ghetto. Still others, like Bobby Chacon, get trapped and stray from the accepted path.
Being the oldest in the family, I was a little restless. I found my friends on the streets. That's where I got in some trouble. After I couldn't play baseball no more, you know, I was too small, so I got restless and joined the gangs. I had to prove myself a lot as far as the fights go. I remember guys would pull up on the street and come to the liquor store, and we'd be at the liquor store and we'd start fighting, and that happened a lot. When I got in that gang, I wasn't one of the biggest members, so I had to prove that just the way I was, you know, I had that thing where I had to be one of the best.
While he wasn't street fighting, Bobby Chacon attended San Fernando High. And in 1968, a quiet girl of Chinese and Irish extraction named Valerie Jin convinced him to take his fights from the streets to the gym.
We were watching fights on TV once. He says, "You can do that, Bobby." I said, "What, you crazy?" I figured those were big men on there. I didn't realize that they were just young kids like myself. And I promised her I'd give it a try.
Bobby and Valerie were married in 1971, and after turning pro the following year, Bobby ran up 19 straight wins before a June of '73 matchup with Ruben Oliveras. Chacon was knocked out in the 9th round, but 15 months later, he rebounded to win the WBC featherweight title. With his earnings, he purchased an attractive house with Valerie, but it was at this time that Bobby's life began to erode. After losing the title in '75, Chacon fought club fights for little money. By 1980, Valerie had convinced Bobby to buy a ranch and mobile home in Oroville, a rural farming community 50 miles north of Sacramento. She hoped that the peace and serenity would drive him away from boxing.
Not until we moved up here in 1980 did I say, well, what's going on? What have I been doing? And I realized that I had better do something now, because Valerie was, you know, wasn't going to take much more of this stuff. And so I made my move once I got up here. I asked her, give me one more chance. And I said at the end of '80, if I haven't done anything, or '81, that I will retire. And that's when I lost to Boza the first time. So I wanted to continue because I felt I had learned something from Boza Edwards, and she had nothing to do with that. She says, no, that's it. You promised me. And I told her I couldn't keep that promise, and things happened from that.
In March of 1982, Valerie was found at the Sacramento airport after a month-long disappearance. She was wandering around the terminal, muttering about guns. 5 days later, on March 15th, while Bobby was in Sacramento training for yet another club fight, Valerie kissed her children's pictures, locked the bedroom door, and pulled the trigger on a loaded rifle. Bobby Chacon rushed back to Oroville, his life in chaos and confusion. Remarkably, the next night, Bobby was back in Sacramento for a fight with Salvador Ugalde, who he knocked out in 3. Emotionally drained, he looked to his children for support.
And it just gave me courage. We all lost something there. We'll all miss her for a long, long time.
Amen.
Maybe we'll catch up with her someday. I sure hope so. Well, we're letting Mama go. You know, I know they'll always remember her, and I will too. But I've got a new life, and everything's going real good right now. And this is what I wanted and tried to explain to her. But she's seen too much foolishness before all of it happened, and she felt that it was going to remain that way, and that's why she did that. I'm just a friendly guy, and I ain't got nothing against not a single person, except myself, maybe.
Bobby Chacon, very nice guy who kind of typifies the attitude, just glad to be here. He starts to make his way out of his locker room and toward the ring. And Ray Leonard, an interesting thing, we've talked already in this broadcast so much about cuts and what an effect they will have on this fight. But there is another very interesting point in that Bobby Chacon has only been stopped on cuts on one occasion.
But the fact that Chacon is susceptible to cuts makes him a handicapped fighter. But it's up to what the referee thinks and what his feelings are.
Well, the referee for this fight is Richard Steele, and there is a note to be mentioned here, too. He was the referee in Chacon's second fight with Cornelius Boza Edwards, when Chacon required 40 stitches after the fight and still was allowed to go on and win the fight.
Well, that's in Chacon's favor, because I'm sure there will be a cut, and if the referee lets the fight continue, then Chacon has a better shot.
In talking to Bobby Chacon before this fight, he said the only thing that really concerns him as he comes into the ring is that the referee might stop the fight just because of the blood and not because of the pain that he was in. Here's the numbers on Bobby Chacon, 52-6 with the 1 draw, 42 knockouts, and interestingly enough, between these two fighters, 22 knockouts in the first 2 rounds. So Larry Merchant, I don't think there's any question, but it's going to be a volatile fight, and it's going to be volatile right from the get-go.
It figures that way, but something has been brewing in the Mancini camp so that we may see him start out a little bit conservatively and deliberately. He doesn't like being known as a one-dimensional fighter. He'd like to box a little bit. He doesn't want to expose himself to punches that might cut him. Nor does he want to run out of steam as Chacon's last 2 opponents have. So he might try to start out a little bit more slowly, but I think Chacon will be right on top of him and trying to test him from the get-go, as you say.
Along those lines, Larry, let me ask you, Ray, one of the things as Ray Mancini makes his way out of his locker and starts toward the ring here, you have always mentioned the fact that a fighter needs to be loose and warm when he comes into the ring. Now, we
dry. Well, he's starting out cold. Evidently, he did not warm up in the back. Mancini, I see signs of perspiration. And the first rounds, it makes a big difference because the fighter's cold, his muscles are stiff, and he's subject to be knocked down or knocked out.
I remember the last time you said that, Ray, we were in Las Vegas for the fight between Michael Dokes and Mike Weaver. You said that about Mike Weaver, and that fight lasted a minute and a half.
Well, if Mancini taking it upon himself to jump right on him, you might see something happen.
Mancini 28-1, the one loss to Alexis Arguello. He was one of the common opponents of these two men, and each man was knocked out by Arguello. Chacon stopped on cuts in the 7th round. And Mancini going 14 rounds, and oddly enough, as you mentioned at the top of the show, that loss, as you look at the tail of the tape, that loss probably got him into the limelight more than any other fight he's had, yet it was his only loss. 10 years age difference. That could be a very telling number as this fight goes on. Everything else actually pretty comparable between these two.
A word about the weights here. Mancini is a little bit light. Since he's a young man, I don't think that would affect him so much. But I think that Chacon is a pound or two over what his best weight would be. When a fighter moves up in weight, sometimes he feels that he should add the weight for strength, and usually it's a bad idea. He's better off capitalizing on his strength, which is quickness and speed.
Bobby Chacon very loose, Ray Mancini likewise, and let's now go up to the ring, and the ring announcer, Jimmy Lennon, for the pre-fight introduction.
Ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are, we welcome you to ringside to the Lawler Activity Center in beautiful Reno, Nevada, where tonight Bob Andreoli Productions, in conjunction with the Reno Sparks Convention and Visitors Authority, present the long-awaited showdown in the lightweight division, rightfully called the Reno Rumble. It'll be held under the auspices of Nevada State Athletic Commission, Art Lurie, Chairman, and the WBA Chief Supervisor at ringside, Nick Karasiotis. The feature event this evening is 15 rounds of boxing for the World Boxing Association Lightweight Championship of the World. The officials, as appointed by the Nevada State Athletic Commission, the judges at ringside who will score and decide the result of the bout. We have Dwayne Ford, James Rondo, and Gordon Volkman. Timekeepers at the bell. Keeping count of the knockdowns, Peter Houck and John Rogers. The referee who will give instructions after introductions, he will control the bout and conduct the bout, will not score, the veteran Richard Steele. Ladies and gentlemen, the ringside physician in charge, the world-famed Dr. Donald Romeo. Now remember, the 3 knockdown rule is in effect, the mandatory 8 is in effect, the judges score and decide the bout. The referee conducts and controls the bout. And here we go, fans. 15 rounds of boxing for the World Boxing Association lightweight title. Introducing in front of me, wearing all blue velvet trunks, from Oroville, California, 133 3/4 pounds, 42 great knockouts in his 52 fine wins, a 2-time world boxing champion, today known as the People's Champion, Smiling Bobby Chacon. Ladies and gentlemen, this opponent really needs no introduction the world over. He wears bright red trunks, weighing in tonight at a trim and ready 134 pounds. He is the pride of Youngstown, Ohio, 22 knockouts in his 28 great wins. He is the defending WBA lightweight boxing champion, a real all-American boy, Ray Boom Boom Mancini. Richard Steele giving instructions. May the better man win.
Both fighters their instructions in the dressing room. I just want to caution you one more time. Obey my command at all times. Shake hands, good luck.
one word as this fight is about to start. Chacon's best chance is to stay in the center of the ring. He's had a habit in recent fights of resting on the ropes a great deal. That probably would be fatal against Mancini.
Yes, in fact, he has said himself that really that has been a part of his strategy. He says he's fighting better on the ropes at the age of 32 than he ever did before. Now, whether that's good news or bad news in this fight remains to be seen.
Well, age will be a factor. I see age as being a factor in this fight. And I think for Chacon, he should utilize the ring, go ahead and box, and try to keep Mancini at the end of that jab. Not let Mancini get him against the ropes or in the corner.
Neither man is going to have to find the other. They'll both be right in front of each other. Richard Steele saying no holding. Left hook by Chacon.
You know, I see that Chacon, he seems to be starting off very slowly. It seems as though his punches are not sharp, and I wouldn't be surprised, Barry, there was a flash knockdown by Mancini.
Mancini being a little bit conservative early on here.
You see the way Chacon punches comes out. They float out. There's no snap to them.
Keep him in front. Keep him in front.
1 minute into this fight. Pretty sharp left hook by Mancini. And a long right hand by Chacon. Both men, of course, and we've spoken of this already, very prone to cuts. Good exchange.
Chacon has to be very careful when he dips to the body with that left hand. He's acceptable for a left hook by Mancini, and there you saw the left hook.
And a right by Mancini backs Chacon up. And a good left jab snaps the head back. And now Chacon on the ropes.
Chacon looks weak to me. That's the left
hand. Caused Chacon to blink, and he's very slow getting off the ropes. You heard Larry Merchant mention that just before the opening bell. He must fight in the center of the ring. Mancini seems to be bothering Chacon. Overhand right, good punch.
Chacon appears to be very weak to me, and he seems to be very sluggish. Mancini punches are starting to have more snap behind them, and they're starting to land.
And two good punches by Mancini, a straight left. And actually, Chacon's legs are not very sturdy right at the moment.
Watch for the left hook by Mancini, because once again, Chacon is there. His right hand he's turning too low.
Both hands are really dropped by Chacon. Chacon fighting with both hands at his chest. Mancini getting much the best of it. Good combination with a lead right and another combination by Mancini. No holding, no holding. Chacon also breathing through his mouth early on here.
Watch for the lead off right hand by Mancini.
Mancini very sharp with his punches. Chacon has the left hand dropped.
Well, as advertised, this is a 17.5-foot ring, but they don't need 17.5 feet to fight this fight. Let's go into Chacon's corner. There's a little blood starting to flow in Chacon's nose. There's one of the first of two good left hands by Mancini. And now the flurry later in the round. Mancini started this round off conservatively, deliberately, but as he sensed that his opponent was weaker, he started to come on a little stronger.
So a little bit of blood from the nostril of Chacon. A good left hand to start the second round. Chacon looking very sluggish. Chacon fighting this fight so far like he is just glad to be here. Blood from the nose of Chacon.
You see now Mancini, he's starting to get his rhythm and his time and everything. His punches are landing, are more accurate. In fact, there seems to be a slight abrasion on the right side of Chacon. That right hand hurt him.
Another good left hand straightens him up, but Chacon is in trouble. Bobbing and weaving on the ropes, trying to stay out of harm's way. Mancini is very sharp.
Watch Mancini set his man up with the right hand, Barrett. He throw the jab, and he works that body so well.
Strong in the chest, pushes Chacon back into the ropes. This is not unusual for Bobby puncher and Bobby Chacon, the punchee.
Where every time that Chacon throws this, he retaliates, he comes straight up, and he's subject to be hit by Mancini's punches.
Keep him up, keep him up. Mancini not missing a lot of punches here, nor is he wasting any punches. And Bobby Chacon continues with his back on the ropes.
Keep in mind also that Chacon is very durable, and Mancini doesn't want to punch himself out.
That's true. Even though there is a 10-year age difference halfway through the second round, as you see, and Chacon scores with the left hand. This fight right now, living up to its billing, it's a slugfest. Chacon took one, and then gave two, took three back.
You see now that Mancini's a little arm weary because he's thrown some devastating punches to the head, to the body of Bobby Chacon.
However, Ray Mancini averages over 100 punches a round.
Don't push, Boom Boom. Don't push.
He does look a little arm weary right at the moment. Chacon fighting this fight with his back to the ropes.
Well, Chacon, keep in mind, he's a very experienced and very seasoned professional. He's a veteran. He knows exactly what he's doing. But I think he's making a mistake standing against the ropes too long against Mancini.
They are nose to nose on the ropes and have been virtually this entire second round. Mancini unmarked right at the moment. This round, actually, for all the punches that have been thrown, is pretty even. Good left hand by Mancini.
It'll be interesting to see how the pace will be the next round, Barry.
Chacon fights off the ropes with a right, comes back with another right, and snapped the head of Mancini back there in the center of the ring.
Let's take an overhead view of Mancini as he chops away at Chacon. Here we see where these men, though they may have limited skills, have unlimited wills. It's a bit amazing, really, that Chacon, who's a full division smaller and 10 years younger than Mancini, is able to stand up to this battering. In case you're interested, Chacon will get $575,000 for this fight. Mancini, $1.3 million.
This is round three. We do want to mention we've been in Bobby Chacon's corner, and you've heard his handlers the first two rounds. We have not been in Ray Mancini's corner because it is in his contract. No microphones in his corner. We will be dropping into his corner, but we will have picture and not much sound. So we will be listening to Chacon's corner. We won't be able to do so with Mancini's.
Mancini comes in, and when he throws his right hand, Barry puts his entire body behind his punches.
You have the feeling that Bobby Chacon has already taken Mancini's best.
Well, a lot of times we see here that Chacon is being hit, but he's also around with a lot of the punches.
A lot of the punches actually landing on the gloves. That was a smashing left hand. Chacon is hurt. Chacon is hurt and in some trouble. This is a ring-wise veteran that you're looking at right here. Just try to weather the storm. He's got a long way to go. 2 minutes left. Third round. And he seems to have his legs back. And a combination by Chacon. What a fight. Another right hand by Mancini. Richard Steele looking at this very closely. Steps in. And that's it. He stops it.
You're all right, Bobby. You got another day.
A lot of blood from the face of Bobby Chacon. I don't think anybody will question Richard Steele stepping in when he did. Chacon took a lot of punishment.
Bend down. Come on, Joe.
A lot of punishment from Bobby Chacon.
Bobby, are you all right?
You okay, Bobby?
been a lot of things being thrown. We have had a couple of people right at our table here being hit by flying objects. The crowd being very volatile here. And we at the moment are talking to you from underneath the press table. So there is chaos going on here in Reno right at the moment. And Ray, we knew it was going to be a brawl. Not real sure that we knew it was going to be quite this much of a brawl afterward.
Got hit with something, I don't know what.
So it is absolute chaos. Take a look at the end of this fight. And you can see against the ropes, Richard Steele looking in very closely just to see exactly how much damage Bobby Chacon was taking. And when he did see just how much damage there was, he stepped in and wisely stopped the fight.
He took a lot of shots that are here. He's helpless, and that right hand by Mancini put Chacon in desperate trouble. I think the referee did a wise thing in stopping the fight.
And there was a lot of blood on Chacon's face when he came out of there. He went into this third round bleeding from the nose. He suffered that in the second, but he was cut around the eyes too at the end.
Well, here again we see some of the most devastating punches that were landed, and they were really the lead-off right hands. And here, Mancini just measured his opponent, taking advantage of him. The left hook grazed Chacon's head, and referee Steele jumped right in.
And you saw him really looking at it very, very closely. Steele almost apologizing to Chacon for stopping the fight. Here is the winner, Bobby Chacon. Ellen and Lenny Chacon, or rather Mancini. I said the winner, Bobby Chacon. Of course, I meant Ray Mancini and his mother and father in the ring as well. And he congratulates Bobby Chacon. Chacon said, before the fight, titles really don't mean very much to me. I'm here for the money. And he had his best payday here today against Ray Mancini. Crowd not agreeing with this. However, in this case, the crowd is 100% wrong. Richard Steele was very smart to stop the fight when he did. I don't think the crowd saw the blood that was incurred while he was on the ropes, Ray.
I don't think the crowd can appreciate some of those punches that Mancini threw. And if they had an opportunity to see it on replay, they'll see how devastating those punches were. And the fact that Bobby Chacon had no chance at all. He was a gallant challenger, but Mancini was just a little bit too strong and too young for him.
All right, right now let's go up to the ring announcer, Jimmy Lennon, for the official decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have the time. 1 minute, 17 seconds in round number 3. Referee in charge, Richard Steele, stopping the bout. The winner by way of knockout, still the WBA lightweight champion of the world, Ray Boom Boom Mancini.
So Ray Mancini declared the winner. It was a very smart decision, even though the crowd disapproved of it. The crowd is a lot farther away than the people involved here and than we were. And in this case, it was absolutely the right decision. Let's go up to the ring now with Larry Merchant.
All right, here's Ray Mancini with his mother and dad. Congratulations, Ray. Was it easier than you thought it would be?
First, I want to give almighty thanks to my God Almighty, my Lord and Savior, for giving me the strength, the courage, and the power. Hello to all the beautiful people of Youngstown for their prayers and support. And congratulations to a very dear friend of mine, Harry Arroyo. Beautiful job, champ.
You're talking about the fellow from Youngstown who beat Robin Blake this afternoon.
Yes, he's beautiful. He's beautiful, and he's going to be another champ.
All right, let me pose another question. You started out sort of conservatively, it seemed, as if you wanted to box him a little.
Yes, Bobby's so very tricky that I don't know what he was going to do, and I had to watch. I had to see what he was going to do. Stick, they told me to keep the jab on him. I was finding him with the jab, so I felt very comfortable. Then I started banging him with them shots against the ropes. Bobby's just a great competitor. He's my idol. That's all I could say. He's my idol. And I know if I couldn't go along like that.
Did you sense midway through that first round that you were just too strong for him?
Well, yeah, I felt, he wasn't hurting me with no punches, but he's winging them, and he's so competitive, like I said, that anything can happen. I seen him wiping the blood away from his eyes. I knew if I just kept the pressure on him, I would get him, and I had him in the corner and banging them shots, and Richard still did an excellent job stepping in because Bobby's eyes, closed and was bleeding pretty bad. But, you hate to take it away from him. He wanted it so bad and he tried so very hard. But I had him. He was beaten.
You've knocked out a lot of fighters with with a lot of those punches you were landing on Chacon, the punches themselves didn't seem to sting him that much. He was right there with you.
I know. Larry, he's been in with the best. You know, he's a great fighter. I hit him with some shots that I thought would drop a lot of lesser guys. But Bobby's so competitive, like I said, so very determined. He stayed there and fired back when he was hurt. And like I said, it just was a matter of time. I knew it.
I had a telephone call yesterday from Anchorage, Alaska, Hector Camacho.
Was he up there?
He was resting and said he was going to be watching the fight tonight, and he wanted the winner, and he thought it would be you.
Please, I hope we can make that match. I say hello to you, Hector, and let's get your people together. Let's get it going. It's just waiting too long. That match has to be made. I ain't going nowhere.
Are you ready to fight somebody of a greater stature in your division now?
Bobby Chacon's a two-time world champion. I don't know how much greater you got to get. But yeah, I'm here. Like I said, I'm not going nowhere. It's because the match has got to be made. You know, the people, everybody says shout for Ray Mancini. Well, let's see it on paper and we'll do it. I'm not going to, I don't duck anybody. I'm not going to fear anybody. Let's just do it.
Thank you very much. You did it tonight, champ.
I hope I'll be back.
And now back to ringside.
Okay, thank you very much. Larry Merchant with the champ, still the champ, Ray Boom Boom Mancini. Very impressive performance for him. He fought a tough guy. But really, Ray, you kind of have to think that he fought a big featherweight.
Well, I think that the fact that the age was a factor and the size was a factor. Mancini was just too strong and too aggressive for Bobby Chacon. I take my hat off to the gallant display of courage by Bobby Chacon. I mean, he really wanted to win his third title, but it proved unsuccessful.
Now he says he wants Hector Camacho. He has said, in fact, for personal reasons, he wants Camacho. For business reasons, he wants Aaron Pryor. Now, there are a lot of people, of course, who are speculating that here is a guy, Ray Boom Boom Mancini, who is a good fighter, not a great fighter, and a guy that maybe is just sitting there waiting to get knocked off. Now, what do you think? Camacho, Pryor, those are some pretty tough guys.
I think for now, the ideal opponent or challenger would be Camacho. As far as size, I really feel that Aaron Pryor is just too big and too strong, and that's what we had to this evening.
Bobby Chacon has said this is payday for him. He's not going to worry about titles anymore. He's going to worry about money. He also made the point of saying, I'm going to absolutely and positively quit. I've heard that before. Tough for a fighter to quit.
Well, yeah, I say the same thing. But I really feel that with Chacon, I mean, his heart is still in it. He still loves the sport. And thank God he wasn't seriously injured.
All right, maybe we'll get some answers right now. Larry Merchant is with Bobby Chacon. Larry, you've got it.
Bobby, you've been in a lot of wars, particularly in the early rounds like this. You've weathered them. Did you think you were going to weather this one?
I was sure of it. You know, I'm willing to take those few punches. It's dangerous for me to do. I guess that's why Richard got in. I was being hit up the top of the head, on the eyes, nothing on the chin where I'm going to get hurt. And, you know, Richard just thought he wanted to prevent anything that could have happened.
You do have a cut over your eye.
Yeah.
Not on the side, as you usually do.
Well, it didn't grip my eye. I didn't feel there was any danger yet, but maybe it would have caught up. And I think Richard, you know, just trying to protect the fighter.
You were happy with having Richard Steele as the referee, and I spoke to him after the fight, and he said he didn't stop it because of the cut.
Yeah.
He just felt that there was no way you could win, that he was just too strong for you.
Well, he was strong, but he's throwing a lot of punches. He's got to wear down a little bit, and that's what happened with Boza and Bazooka. They got to wear themselves down before I can catch up with them age-wise. But, you know, I don't blame Richard for doing what he did. He's just probably trying to protect the fighters. So many bad things have happened, and I don't blame him for that. That's the way he felt.
All right, we're going to try to take a look at that last round.
I'd like to see my eye. What does it look like?
And here it is. Winging.
He caught me a good punch there. But still, you know, I take a good punch. I'm willing to take them.
Well, he said he's knocked a lot of guys out with those punches.
Yeah. Well, like I say, I take a very good punch. And I'm waiting. I'm here. I'm watching for punches, trying to block them. You know, it's going to catch up. He's going to get tired sooner or later. He's going to wear down a little bit, and I'm just warming up. I was still warming up, and
what punch hurt him?
Tell me that. They were on top of their head. They were wide.
You don't see a punch landing there.
I'm moving.
There didn't seem to be a punch at the end. It seems that he stopped it because you weren't offering much resistance or firing back.
Well, you know, it's second round, second or third round. I can't start that fast. Otherwise, I'm going to.
Let me call in Richard Steele right here. Richard, would you please? You tell Bobby why you stopped the fight.
Well, I stopped the fight because I thought that Bobby has taken enough, and the only thing that was going to end up with me counting him out, and that I didn't want to do. I wanted this fight to end up as the great champion that he is or was, standing up, smiling, and he's okay. And that was my main
That is true. I am still smiling, so thank you, Richard.
All right, we've resolved that. Now the next question to you, Bobby, is this the end of your long road as a fighter?
Well, I'm gonna have to think it over a little bit. The way this thing happened, I don't know. It confuses me a little bit. I didn't really get a chance to get started in the fight. You know, you can't plan anything out in 1-2 rounds. You can't expect to do anything. My battle plan was over the long haul, and I didn't get that chance. I'm gonna think it over at home.
That sounds like if somebody comes up with a good offer, you'll be back.
How did you know?
Thank you, Bobby Chacon. And now back to ringside once again.
That's right.
Okay, thank you, Larry Merchant. I think really, Larry really managed to tell the story there. That's all the participants. We talked to the winner, we talked to the loser, we talked to the referee. And once again, I think it's for us to reiterate, in my opinion, I think your opinion, I know Larry's opinion, and certainly Richard Steele's opinion, it was the right thing to do to stop the fight when it was stopped.
Well, even Bobby Chacon, he admit that referee Steele did the right thing and the most healthy thing in stopping the fight. Quite naturally, as a challenger and going for the championship, he felt he could continue. That's a fighter. That's his own feeling of strength.
I have to say, it really does disturb me a little bit to think that Bobby Chacon, and just based on what he said and kind of reading between the lines, you have the feeling that we will be seeing more of Bobby Chacon. This was kind of the end of the rainbow for him, and he's come back so many times at 32 years old and taking the punishment he's taking. I would hate to see him do it again.
Well, I'm sure he's going to continue to do it. I'm sure he's going to think it over and reevaluate his whole career. But, you know, very few guys that really can do that to a Bobby Chacon. Very few guys.
Well, the thing about Ray Boom Boom Mancini, I think, and he was very impressive tonight, people compared him to Joe Frazier. He said he was the classic overachiever. He was short-armed. He was a predictable fighter. He beat the unbeatable man. Well, Bobby Chacon hasn't yet fought the unbeatable man, but you have to think that's down the road either in Hector Camacho or in Aaron Pryor. And speaking of the unbeatable man, the man on my right is something of the unbeatable man. We will be seeing Sugar Ray Leonard come back to the ring, and that is just down the road on HBO.
He's the WBC welterweight champion of the world, ladies and gentlemen.
Introducing, in the blue corner, fighting out of Palmer Park, Maryland.
And he really needs no introduction the world over. Here, the undisputed world's welterweight boxing champion, the classy Sugar Ray Leonard.
Sugar Ray Leonard.
Sugar Ray Leonard.
Back the other way. 3-4 punches to the face now of Larry Barnes. Right above us once more. A right hand and another right.
You're blowing it now, son. You're blowing it. You gotta be quicker. You gotta take it away from him. Okay?
Burns has to tie him up or something. Now is going for the whole boat. Hitting him with combinations. Leonard has given everything he's got. Burns starts down the ground and now goes down through the ropes. Leonard hits. Burns just trying to hang on here. Left hand sends Burns back against the ropes again. And that's all. It's over.
Do your thing before this kid will fall apart. Do your own thing.
There's a right hand and Finch is snapped. So right back. Now Ray had a chance that time, I think, to follow up. Decided not to. Another right hand, and there is a booming right hand that puts Bruce Finch down.
I'm hoping that we can get together here and make this big money that we've been talking about.
Let's get this on the air.
About all over. And the people want to see it, Leonard. We don't want you to retire yet until you come with the marvelous one.
Okay,
it's got to be the big one, right?
That is the biggest one.
All right.
And if you make that comeback, you might wind up the greatest of all times.
And as I stand here, in 1 second, I'll tell you exactly what I'm going to do. A fight with this great man, this great champion, could be one of the greatest fights in the history of boxing. Talking about money, you talk about Fort Knox. And this is the only man can make that possible. Marvelous Marvin Hagler. But unfortunately, it'll never happen. Thank you, and God bless you all. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome for the first time in the ring since February 15th, 1982, Sugar Ray Leonard.
is just the actual challenge. And because I am healthy, and because I don't see myself as getting into the ring and jeopardizing anything, I've put the personal wealth aside. I mean, what I'm doing now is still something that is within me, the drive, the hunger of professional competition. I still have that.
So now, America's heartthrob is back in training, looking ahead to one of the most celebrated comebacks in the history of boxing. Sugar Ray Leonard has returned to dazzle the public and prove his prowess in the world of boxing.
I still love the thrill of winning. I love the challenge, the competition. I just hate to lose.
And now we present Sugar Ray Leonard's first test on the long road back. On Saturday, February 25th, the former welterweight and junior middleweight champion will fight Kevin Howard in his first trip to the ring in 2 years. That'll be live right here on HBO. And we are back in Reno, Nevada, and Ray Leonard, you will go from here back home to Maryland and step back into the gym. And I know it's going to be a discipline you've been away from for quite a while. How far do you want to go with it? What are your goals right now? What have you set your sights on?
Well, Barry, first of all, I'd go back and get my title, which my friends Donald Curry and Milt McCrory had at the present time, and move on to junior middleweight and hopefully the inevitable with Marvin Hagler. I can envision 2 years of activity.
Well, let's talk about the 2 years. We talked about Bobby Chacon, a guy that is very difficult to say, that's it, no more, I've had it. Could you say, that's it, no more, I've had it?
Yes, I can, because, see, Barry, I'm not in there for the money. I'm in there for what's inside of me, the love. I still have the same discipline, the same drive, and that's what's made me so successful in the past.
Somebody actually told me they had seen you working out, and they said point blank, this guy right now is stronger than he was when he hung him up 1.5 years ago.
Well, I am stronger. I feel I'm more disciplined, and I'm old, I'm wiser. I know exactly what I'm capable of doing, because I wouldn't go back in there if I didn't.
You've always said, I like to stay very active, and you've been talking to me about possibly fighting as often as every 3 or 4 months.
I like to. I like to stay as active as possibly can, Barry. Once every 3 months. I like to keep going, because the more I fight, the sharper I become. And I think that the way things are going now, by the fall, I'll have my title back.
Is it a difficult thing to not look by people? You've got to fight with a guy named Kevin Howard. True enough, you look at everything on paper and you say, sure, Sugar Ray Leonard should beat Kevin Howard. And somewhere in the back of your head, of course, is Milton McCrory. He's going to be down the road in the not too far distant future. Do you worry about perhaps looking by a guy like Kevin Howard?
No, I can't look past Kevin, because he's called the spoiler all anyway. But, you know, being realistic, I speculate. I can speculate, but I don't look past Kevin Howard, because my first fight is going to be a tough fight, mentally, spiritually, and psychologically, because I have to impress. And who? The public.
Okay, we talked a little bit about Milton McCrory. He could be just down the road. He had what was supposed to be a pretty tough fight for him today against Milton Guest, a guy who was 17-1 with 17-1 with 15 knockouts. But Milton McCrory did a pretty good job today, 6-round TKO.
Well, Milton McCrory, quite naturally, he proves that he is a championship material, and he took care of Milton Guest with relative ease.
He's out of Emmanuel Stewart's stable up there in Detroit. Tommy Hearns, of course, came from that stable. Are these two guys, anything to be said that could be similar about these two?
Well, I tell you, they both are tall and rangy, and both are superior athletes, and I respect both of them.
Okay, we had another guy fight today, too, by the name of Robin Blake. Now, he was a guy everybody was talking about. Then he lost the fight. Today, he was supposed to have what was a breather fight for him, very similar to a fight with Kevin Howard, somebody like that. Well, Harry Arroyo jumped up and scored a unanimous, and it was a unanimous
decision over Robin Blake. So 2 losses in a row. Stranger things have happened. Well, in boxing, anything, because it's so unpredictable, Barry, and the fact that you must take one day at a time.
Everybody all of a sudden is saying, well, Ray Leonard's back in the sport now. Now it's going to be payday. Now it's going to be payday. But it's got to be your way to be a payday.
Oh, for sure. And I'm doing things my way. I'm going to take my time. I'm going to fight by fight. I'm not overlooking no one. And but I see down the road, I have my title back.
Who's going to be with you? I know we've got a lot of familiar faces that would be back with Sugar Ray Leonard.
Well, hopefully the same original guys. But, you know, it's been 2 years now, Barry. And like Jenks Morton and Angelo Dundee. In fact, Jenks is in my hometown now, away for me to return to start training. But I'm sure the guys will be there because I want them there.
Okay, let's get a couple of final comments now from our own Larry Merchant, who is still ringside. Larry?
Watching Bobby Chacon this week as he worked out and talking to him, I had the sense that he was sort of like those old jazz men in Preservation Hall in New Orleans. They sit there between sets almost lifeless, and when the music starts, their blood starts to flow, and it seems that they're young again. And you hope against hope that this would have been the case with Bobby Chacon. He didn't look particularly good in his workouts, but he has got a record of coming to life in the fights. But as we saw, he was just a little too old and a little too small for an ambitious and strong young champion. The last two fights of Bobby Chacon against Cornelius Boza Edwards and Bazooka Lamone gave us a chance to observe what's inside a great champion, because the great skills he once had eroded. But when he went up against a strong champion today, a champion who has every bit as much heart as he did, then the rest was just sort of academic. Too strong and too young. And that is the way of boxing. Barry?
Thank you, Larry. And Ray Leonard, once more, youth wins out. And Ray Boom Boom Mancini, I would have to say, even though he fought a guy that he really overmatched, was very impressive tonight. He didn't waste very many punches.
I thought that Ray Mancini fought a magnificent fight. I mean, he took his time, and he was the aggressor. He took advantage of an opportunity where he was able to hurt Bobby Chacon. He went to the body. He was a technician to me.
The thing about this guy is he does seem to be getting better and sharper with almost every outing.
Well, now, I think with Mancini, he's beginning to gain ring generalship, ring savvy. And every fight is going to be an important fight because he's going to learn a little bit more.
Let's talk about the possibilities of what's ahead for him. He has Macho Camacho or Aaron Pryor. Two guys that are awfully tough. We've seen them both fight. We've done both of their fights. But what do you think? Let's first talk about Mancini Camacho.
Well, that will be a perfect fight, ideal fight, traditional fight, because you have a boxer against a puncher. Without question, Hector Camacho is one of the most exciting fighters out there today. And it would be an ideal fight, a natural fight, a big money fight against those two.
And Mancini Pryor.
I think time is a factor. I think that Pryor is just too big for Mancini. Much too big, much too strong.
Well, we were saying that you keep waiting for Ray Boom Boom Mancini to be beaten by somebody. He seems to be sitting there waiting to get his head knocked off, but there's nobody around who's able to do it. And Mancini just keeps on getting better. And that just about brings this night to a close. Be sure to join Len Dawson and Nick Bonacani for a special edition of Inside the NFL from Tampa, Florida, the site of Super Bowl 18. They'll preview the matchups, interview the players and coaches from both sides to give you the inside story on this year's Super Bowl. That's Thursday, January 19th. And on January 26th, we'll have the Super Bowl 18 wrap-up. Also, don't miss our next telecast of World Championship Boxing, the return of Sugar Ray Leonard, as he takes on Kevin the Spoiler Howard, live Saturday, February 25th, 10 o'clock Eastern, right here on HBO. So Ray Mancini has retained the WBA lightweight title with a third-round knockout over Bobby Chacon. For Sugar Ray Leonard and Larry Merchant, I'm Barry Tompkins saying so long from Reno, Nevada. The executive producer of HBO Sports is Tim Brain. Tonight's